Good evening to everyone present here. I cordially welcome you all to Tech Bharat 2021, Empowering EduTech and HealthTech. Tech Bharat is an initiative of Laghu Udyog Bharati, Karnataka and IMS Foundation. Tech Bharat is envisioned as a platform to support startups and SMEs and be a guiding light to them in navigating their entrepreneurial journey. We are lucky to have found support from the Government of India and the Government of Karnataka at every stage. We thank the ministers, officials, and representatives of Department of Education, Department of Health and Family Welfare, Department of Science and Technology, AICTE, VTU, and CSIR in encouraging us and supporting our vision. We welcome you to this session on higher education, research, collaboration, and compliance. Higher education is a critical contributor to sustainable livelihoods and economic development of the nation. From an Indian context, it plays an important role in developing the country as envisioned in our constitution. Democratic, just, socially conscious, self-aware, cultured, and a humane nation with liberty, equality, and a fraternal spirit. As India moves towards a true knowledge society and economy, and as India aims to lead the fourth industrial revolution, the context of higher education has become more relevant. To discuss this further, we have with us an eminent panel with us today. Firstly, I would like to introduce and welcome Professor M.N. Ravishankar, Associate Dean, Research, University of Loughborough, UK. He's a professor of globalization and technology. He has provided leadership to the school's initiative around building internationally competitive and inclusive research teams, setting up research centers, international partnerships, program development, and student recruitment. Before moving to the UK, he has lived and worked in 3 countries, India, Singapore, and Australia. We thank you for accepting our request to moderate the session and welcome you. I would also like to welcome Professor Kari Siddappa, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Visvesvaraya Technological University, Belgavi. At VTU, he is working hard to create an exciting and supporting learning environment that transforms engineering students and inspires them to work for the development of society. We are excited to have you here, Professor, and welcome. I would also like to welcome Dr. Sanjeev K. Varshan, Head International Division, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. He's a scientific officer with the government, working in the Department of Science and Technology, facilitating bilateral scientific cooperation of India with partner countries. We thank you for accepting our invitation and welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
I would also like to welcome Dr. Srinivas V. Kaveri, Director, Research, CNRS, France. He's leading the research team at the world-renowned institute, working on molecular mechanisms of immunopathology and immunotherapy. Thank you for accepting our invitation, Doctor, and we cordially welcome. I would also like to welcome Dr. Harish Madhyastha, Associate Professor, Department of Physiology, University of Miyazaki, Japan. He's an officially recognized Indo-Japan academic spokesperson of University of Miyazaki and engaged in outreach programs to further strengthen the cohesive relationship with Indian academicians and University of Miyazaki, Japan. Thank you for accepting our invitation and we cordially welcome you, Doctor. I now request Professor Ravishankar to take over the session and moderate it. Over to you, Professor.
Thank you. Welcome to my distinguished panelists. We will have a few opening remarks and then we will have a panel session. So what I propose to do is I will introduce briefly each one of my distinguished fellow panelists, and we will then have opening remarks from each one of us. So I will start with Professor Kari Siddappa, and once I introduce Professor Kari Siddappa, he can probably go on and make his opening remarks for about 5 to 6 minutes. Is that okay, Professor? Professor Kari Siddappa is Vice Chancellor of Visvesvaraya Technological University, Belgavi. He has over 34 years of teaching and research experience in the field of structural engineering. He has a PhD from IIT Roorkee, Uttarakhand, and an MTech from IIT Madras. He has held various positions across his career, including Principal of Government Engineering College, Hassan, Assistant Engineer in PWD, and he's been a lecturer at Adi Chunchanagiri Institute of Technology, Chikmagalur. He is a member in several professional bodies such as Institution of Engineers, Indian Society for Technological Education, and Indian Society of Wind Engineering, among others. He aims to create an exciting and supportive learning environment that can transform engineering students and inspire them to work for the development of society. Over to you, Professor Krisidappa.
Thank you for introducing me. Once again, welcome to all the panelists. And let me thank Tech Bharat, especially the Laghu Udyog Bharati and IMS Foundation for this opportunity. I represent Visvesvaraya Technological University, which is in Belagavi, Karnataka. almost 22 years old technological university, imparting education in engineering, management, and computer applications, both at the undergraduate level and postgraduate level, including research programs. Now, coming to today's topic, higher education, research, collaboration, and compliances. I think the National Education Policy 2020 of Government of India has made a big opening to our education system. I would say it's a game changer in India. And the lot of provisions, though we had, in fact, have relations among the universities, inside the universities, outside India, that is collaborative research I'm talking about. The degree with which we are conducting, they are very, very small. And also the way in which you are conducting is just like a game we are trying to play and close it. But what I would suggest is we need more commitment and passion to go ahead. The higher education is not simply, as we have concentrated more on engineering, medicine, etc. in India, there are other parts which are very important. And also through as per the aspirations of NEP 2020, we are trying to break those barriers and go ahead, which is a very welcome move, and definitely it will have very long impact. And maybe we will gain back those of Takshashila and Nalanda. And the why I say game changer is the policy itself is talking very high about the research and also funding. That is one thing which is missing through National Research Foundation and also a single controlling body. I think India will have a very good ecosystem developed to conduct research and go ahead. When I say research or collaborative research and also about the compliances, we just participating and completing the game and going away without any takeaways or influence on the society, especially the problems of common man, where we all, very well think about, the solution to problems which are economically efficient and long lasting. So therefore, we need to have understanding. Collaborative research should have goal set, very clear goal set. And we should know how to, deal with the problems and competence among the collaborative researchers, whether it is inside the university or inter-university or along with foreign collaborations. And also we need to have faith and confidence in each group and commitment and passion to carry out the research. And also each group should have a competency to deal with the task cut out for. Unless we trust each other, the collaborative research have failed miserably. So therefore, having technology, having growth, having facilities, one side, a wonderful infrastructure in the other side, and working group, the mentality with which we work and the rigidity what we have in our silos or whatever we're talking about, all these things should go. And also, the compliance means we should know how to deal with. Sometimes, many a times, I'm sorry to say, the targets, what we fix up is, let us say, I got a research funding of 10 crore rupees and I complete 9 crore by procuring equipments, producing some papers and etc. My efficiency will be set 90%. So that should not happen. It has to be outcome based. We should deliver. We should need to have a very clear goal or aspiration set that at the end of this research work, this is the kind of basic research contribution I do, or applied research contribution I do, or a transformational research I do, which will come in the form of a product or say something intellectual property to the nation. So therefore, the research, collaborative, and compliances, they all go together to achieve something special at a very high level. So it does not mean that we are aiming to get some doctoral degrees and aiming to become X, Y, Z, etc. We need to have something, what I said as committed research at undergraduate, postgraduate, and higher level or PhD level research. And for that collaboration, when I say it is not just we should limit to the interdepartment or interdisciplinary research in an university, or collaboration with universities among Indian universities, and also with some of the very fantastic foreign universities. We need to have collaboration with industries. I always believe, and I keep telling, industries must find institution in their campus, and campuses must find industry in their campuses or place. Unless we do that kind of a collaboration, and the CSR funding, what most of the industries are giving it to the various developmental work in society, I think majority of that funding should go to research, and especially in increasing our IPR. So that is the kind of a collaboration I expect from industries. They can set center of excellences as per the aspirations of our NEP 2020. They can monitor. They can set parameters, bars can be put on us so that we try to achieve those levels of research and try to contribute something special. And the research work, what we carry out must be like, AICTE is conducting hackathon. It is becoming an international event. We take the problems from the society, from the industries, and pose it to the students, etc. So that kind of ecosystem we are developing. Definitely over last 10 years, the dynamics of collaboration has changed in India, not only in the, in terms of education, but in all spheres of Indian, growth. There is a very new wave in the growth of education, industry, or the problems of common man, etc. So countries trying to find out solution to the problems, move further. And in the, I'll come back to some of the points during our discussion. So definitely we must work in those lines wherein our goals are clearly defined and we are going to achieve something special out of our research work, not merely publications or impact factor or, many people, stop that stage. So I believe in such kind of an ecosystem when created, and we have a very inspiring young minds, a very capable group of students in India, and not only we should limit to these collaboration. What I said, I think we have more faculty exchange programs, international faculty conducting research in India will go a long way, and also student exchange programs, internships, etc. will expose our students and expose others from outside India also, the culture of India, the education system of India. And there are definitely many, many takeaways in terms of skill sets in India, life skills in India, Ayurveda and Veda related mathematics, etc., space technology, and the type of the metallurgy, what we have, etc., will go a long way in interconnecting. And all these things, I think, will lead to definitely a system, as our Honorable Prime Minister says, local to global, and aspirations of NEP we will achieve. And above all, I think we will help the people at large across the globe. As many things have done during pandemic. India has taken care of so much of, set of norms or new normal in life, in education and industry, etc. I think all these things will go a long way. So that's what I, say how we should go about in higher education and think about collaboration and compliance. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Karisiddappa. I would now like to introduce Dr. Sanjeev Varshni, who is head of the International Division Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. He is the advisor and head of International Division for Bilateral Cooperation of the department responsible for facilitating bilateral scientific cooperation with partner countries. He's also a member of the Governing Council of the Indo-US Endowment Fund, International Advanced Research Center, and US-India Educational Foundation. He has done top quality research on Himalayan river systems, sedimentation, diagenetic and tectonic modifications. He has worked as counselor with Embassy of India in Moscow to facilitate bilateral scientific cooperation between India and Russia in 2008 and ending in 2011. Over to you, Dr. Varshney.
Namaskar, and thank you, Ravi, for introducing me. I am not directly related to education because my role is primarily in the Department of Science and Technology is to promote research. But we bank very heavily on academic sectors where research is being pursued in a number of ways. But we realized that Indian universities are not figuring in global ranking, say top 100, top 200. It is really challenging. And despite many hurdles, two kind of hurdles we have faced, that many of the Indian universities are only degree-giving institutions, and they are not working on research. And those which are engaged in research are not doing quality research. And that is why we are missing in international arena as far as global ranking is concerned. So what we have tried in last 10 years, that if we could put focus on our universities, which are only education giving or degree giving, if we could ask them to do research so that they become more productive and their contributions become acceptable. Similarly, those which are engaged in research, they are missing the global list because they are not having international faculty, international students. So we have launched program for them so that they can recruit students, faculty in their institutions. I hope you are aware that today we are allowing not only Indian faculty, but all those foreigners who are holding NRI card, they can work in any Indian academic and scientific institution. So what we did, that we launched two kind of campaign. One, we provided giving capital grant, which is called Facilitation of Infrastructure in Science and Technology, FIST. And idea was we provide research equipment to the universities, and those research equipments help university in developing research culture. Where already research culture was there, we started working on giving fellowships for recruitment of international students. So today you will find that most of the IITs have got grants to recruit international students. So they are offering fellowship even at graduate level for this purpose. Now, second thing, I'm thankful to Professor Kari Siddhappa, who introduced this concept that we require integration with industry. And what we have done in last 5 years, that Department of Science and Technology, in collaboration with several academic organizations, primarily engineering organizations, working on development of technology business incubators. We have developed nearly 200 technology business incubators in recent times, say last 5 to 10 years. And these incubators provide an opportunity to young minds to try out their ideas. So all kind of facilities for incubating those ideas we are doing. Third thing what we have done is we realize that it is not only the engineering students or students of higher classes who have an idea. Even young minds, school students can give us wonderful ideas. And I'm not sure if you are aware that we are running a program called Inspire, through which we are attracting class 6 onwards an opportunity to give us projects. Now, there is a competition first at a school level, then at district level, state level, and national level. And eventually, 100 students from this sector, which are primarily students of class 6 to class 12, they get an idea and they get an exposure to meet President of India and showcase their experience. And each year, these students give us patentable ideas, which could be sometimes 3, sometimes 10. So what I'm trying to say is that we realize the potential of young minds, and we have done several programs for them. So Inspire is one, but what we are doing is we are providing them opportunity to participate in several international fairs. For example, IRIS Intel Fair, where we are sending group of students to showcase their technology. Similarly, we are doing a program under Sakura Exchange program. So we are inviting foreign students, school students, to participate in India's Children's Science Congress. So there are several opportunities which we are utilizing to spark the young minds. Now, coming to my personal work, I am working in the International Collaboration Division of the department, and I am responsible for bilateral, multilateral, regional cooperation of India. Now, coming to bilateral, we have arrangement with 80 countries, and we are providing research-based collaborations. These collaborations are on 2 or 3 modes. One mode is of equity, where both sides put in contributions, which could be financial, intellectuals, and whatever comes out, they will reap it jointly. Second kind of projects are where we are expecting goodwill and we are expecting learning from the models of countries which are not at par with India. So for example, if first category of program we are dealing with all developed countries like US, UK, France, Germany, European country, Japan, Australia. Second category is for countries in our immediate neighborhood, Asia, Africa, and South America, where we are trying to understand their scientific challenges and helping them with our approaches. The third category is where we are working with the industry. And industry is the lead, and we are connecting them to their overseas partner. Now, these program is mostly with the developed countries, and we are collaborating to develop a new high-tech process or product within a identified time span. So this include industry of both the partner countries. So we are running right now this program with about 10 countries, and we from the department are facilitating. Now, when Professor Kari Siddhappa said that we need to integrate academia, industria, and collaborate not only academic industry, but also with several other partners, we would be too happy in the Department of Science and Technology to play that role. And as far as industry is concerned, we are providing support for incubation. We are providing support for upscaling of lab result into pilot scale production or commercialization. And we are also willing to work with academia on industry-related projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjeev. I would now like to introduce Dr. Srinivas Kaveri, Director Research, CNRS, France. Dr. Srinivas Kaveri is a veterinarian by training who received his PhD from the Pasteur Institute and has done postdoctoral work at the University of California. He leads a research team at INSERM in Paris, and his work relates to the molecular mechanisms of immunopathology and immunotherapy. He has over 250 publications and several patents to his name, and he has received research grants from several national and international bodies. Since 2015, Dr. Kaveri holds the position of Director of the CNRS Bureau in the French Embassy, New Delhi. Over to you, Dr. Kaveri.
Thank you very much, Ravi. And what a pleasure being with you all. And a fantastic overview, Dr. Kari Siddhappa, and a beautiful follow-up by Sanjeev Varshney. I think we are all set to get this going. So we are perfectly in tune with what Professor Kari Siddhappa and S.K. Varshney just now mentioned, which is how to collaborate and the mechanisms of collaboration, the beauty and the usefulness of collaboration. And this is exactly where I stand in, or I pitch in, because this is the gist of my work in India. If you allow me, I will share a few slides which makes it a bit easier for the participants. So one or two words about myself. My name is Srinivas Kaveri, I just now mentioned, and I represent a very important, or one of the probably most prestigious research organizations in the world, called CNRS. I'll forget the French abbreviation, which is Centre National de la Recherche Scientifique, but it's National Center for Scientific Research. I will mention about this research organization in a few minutes, but my role for the last 5 years in India has been to represent not only CNRS, which is a very important research organization in France, about which I'll talk in a few minutes, but my role is also to coordinate the French laboratory, French research system with the European Union and India, because as you all know, European Union has enormous initiative, has put in a lot of efforts to collaborate with India. And European Union has three important priorities, which is European Union is bent upon addressing the societal challenges. Both Professor Kari Siddhappa and S.K. Varshney did mention, but very quickly, there are health issues. In a normal setup, if I were talking to students, I would have described all these different issues, the health issues, demographic changes, the climate, the climate changes, the clean and efficient energy problems, smart and integrated transport. All these issues are important. We cannot now lead a secluded life, and it is for the youngsters, it is for the new, as you, once again, Professor Kari Siddhappa mentioned, the young people, and S.K. Varshney also mentioned, the young people should be aware of this and how to tackle these societal challenges. To do so, we need a leadership. We need industrial leadership, meaning you need to know how to bring this to the industrial level, all these solutions that you are thinking of. The bottom line is the excellent science. If you have good science, you can tackle these problems. And therefore, it is very crucial that we do good science. And so to address these issues, European Union has put in nothing less than 70 billion euros. And we just now concluded the Horizon 2020. You must be, I'm sure most of you are aware of that. And now we are entering into the phase of Horizon Europe. And why should we engage with, why European Union is important? Because European Union is a leader in science and technology. And enormous amount of money is spent on research. Each of the European Union countries, the member states, contribute a significant amount of money. And therefore, the GDP that is contributed towards science is extremely important. And therefore, top science is done, best universities and colleges are in the European Union. And therefore, there is all the reason for us, or in India, to collaborate with European Union. And India is a strategic partner for European Union. We share common values. We are committed to the modernization of India, and research and innovation is necessary to address the sustainable goals. And therefore, there are all these reasons why we should work together, European Union and India. So how do we do this? There are many ways of doing this, and this addresses directly what Professor Kari Siddhappa was mentioning. Horizon Europe is one important tool where we can collaborate, and we have agreements. European Union has agreements with DST, DBT. on some selected problems on and off. We identify certain issues which are mentioned here. I'll be more than happy to share these slides. And we just concluded one program on the vaccines, and before that it was water research, and regularly there are other issues like energy, smart grids. And so depending on the occasion and the importance, we do the calls. And without going into the details, we need 3 partners in the European countries, and the consortium is formed with at least 3 different groups of India, and we can address these calls. And these are extremely attractive collaborating tools. And for young students or PhDs, postdocs, Marie Sklodowska-Curie action is equally important mechanism. And this is something that every university, not only in the engineering colleges and engineering universities, but all the universities should be aware of them. And we do through Euraxis. I will mention one word about Euraxis. We do many promotional events and programs for the Indian students so that they are aware of these activity and they can apply for these scholarships. And these are excellent opportunities for the Indian students, postdocs, to perform research and collaborate with European Union. And lastly, but not the least, the European Research Council grants. Probably for young minds or young, just after PhD, but there are various schemes for European Research Council. There are schemes for probably even, even up to the senior scientist levels, advanced research grants. But ERC grant is probably one of the best things that can happen to young scientists to start off to put their ideas into practice. And if you have an excellent idea, if you have an innovative idea, if you have a new idea, European Research Council is probably one of the best things that can happen to you. So I would like to draw the attention of young Indian scientific community for these European Union initiatives. 1 or 2 words about France. France, of course, has always encouraged collaboration. 17% of our scientists, we are from outside. This shows how much interaction we have with the international atmosphere. And 41%, which is of the 75,000 doctoral students, 41%, close to half of them are international. So it is a very, very welcoming country, and we do welcome. And I guess it's one of the very attractive targets. Research is carried out in fantastic institutes like Agriculture Research Institute, Health Research Institute, CNRS, that I'll be talking to you in a few minutes. And we are good in innovation and in science. You see, 6th in terms of innovation, patent applications in the world, and 65 Nobel laureates, 12 Fields medals. Yeah, we are quite good in France. So there are all the reasons for the young Indians to work with France. And one of the key words of collaborating with France is this bilateral mechanism, which Sanjeev Varshney also mentioned, the CEFIPRA. I'll not expand the French version, but for Indian community, Indo-French Center for Promotion of Advanced Research is the keyword, Indo-French Center. I invite every young Indian scientist who is willing to collaborate with France to look up at the website of CEFIPRA, which offers fantastic opportunities to collaborate either in the basic or applied research, and you can take it towards pre-commercialization. There are grants to take it to the next level with your industrial partners, startup partners, and many young Indians are benefiting from this. And these research projects allow you to work directly with a French industry and an Indian industry. It's a 2+2 model. You have an academic partner and an industry partner in India, and same in France. So this exposes your ideas to international atmosphere, and also the French scientists will get to know what you people are up to. So this is one very interesting mechanism that we have proposed towards innovation. And as Professor Karisiddhappa also mentioned, it is important that the students benefit from mobility, get to meet international. And S.K. Varshney also mentioned about inviting the international students to Indian, where here we participate. For example, this Raman Sharpak Fellowship is a very good opportunity for the Indian scientists to go to France and invite French students to spend time in Indian institutions. And that is happening. And it is creating an atmosphere, a dynamism, which we really appreciate, because these young people are our ambassadors. They take you, they represent our country. For example, the French students, they just not only go as students and do, but they also represent French culture, French tradition, and to some extent French language. And we welcome, obviously we welcome the diversity of India, Indian students in the French universities and institutes. So this is a very good mechanism that we have. Plus, in line with what Professor Karisiddhappa said, yes, it is important that the students and the universities interact very closely with the industry. In view of that, we, the French embassy, and we also participate in this, we have opened this, what we call as R&D club, the French R&D club, where there are more than 50 members now. You can recognize some of those famous French companies. You have Thales, you have Saint-Gobain, Sanofi, Schneider Electric, and all these are our partners. What we try to do is how to connect the Indian academic atmosphere with the French industry. So that there is an interaction between the two, and this cultivates a habit of working with the industry. And this is a very interesting move, what we have done. And we are quite happy with this. One or two words about CNRS, and then I'll close the show. CNRS, as I mentioned, is National Center for Scientific Research, and we do research in practically every domain. We do not only basic research, but we also interact with more than 50, all the leading French industries we have partnerships with. And there is a very close collaboration between academia and industry. As I mentioned, we work practically in every domain of science, physics, chemistry, mathematics, environmental sciences, social sciences, computer science, engineering, everything. And at the risk of being pretentious, I can say this is one of the probably most prestigious research organizations. It has over 30,000 scientific force. Such a large organization, and you can find a research unit in practically every other town, 1,100 research units all over the country, and a budget of over 3.2 billion. And the publication record is not at all bad. We are first in ERC Council ranking, Nature Index ranking, SCImago ranking, and our own organization in France. I mentioned about the French Nobel laureates. We have 23 Nobel laureates now. I need to mention one more, and 12 Fields Medal. So you can imagine how powerful this organization is. Yet in India, many people probably were not aware of this organization. And that's the reason why we decided to internationalize a bit. And then I am representing, we have offices practically in every major area of the world. And I represent the CNRS office in India, and I work very closely with the DST, DBT, CSIR, all the IITs and IIC, and I have visited several engineering colleges, MS Ramaiah Engineering College and many other engineering colleges, even in Karnataka. And what I try to do is to tell them how you people can work with the European Union, with France, and with my organization, which is CNRS. And there are various mechanisms. I'll leave the slides with you people because I'll not take more time in telling how you can explore the research in starting in a mobility way and then consolidated this. We call this as international research network or international research programs, and more compact and solid and very powerful research collaboration in international research laboratories. We have examples for all these actually. International Research Laboratory in Computer Science and Mathematics in Chennai Mathematical Institute, Indo-French Center for Applied Mathematics in IISc, and we have very powerful collaborations with the DBT laboratories and DST, laboratories and CSIR laboratories. I'll not go into the details because that's going to take time, but I'll be more than happy to share all this information with young budding scientists and those ambitious people who want to start startups and other higher education initiatives. And to leave you with a few keywords: European Union and Euraccess. For those young people who are not aware of this, please join this Euraccess. You will be provided with a lot of information, a regular update on what's happening in the European Union, and all the scholarship opportunities, the grant opportunities, etc. CEFIPRA is another keyword I would like you to remember. Indo-French Center. We provide grants for basic research, applied research, workshops, and student mobility. And Campus France helps those young people who are willing to consider higher education in France, and my office, CNRS. And I thank you, and I stop here. I'm more than happy to answer some of the questions that will arise later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kaveri. I would now like to introduce Dr. Harish Madhyastha. Dr. Harish has 2 PhD degrees. He started his career as a scientist at the Murugappa Chettiar Research Center in Chennai. Later, he pursued postdoctoral research in Japan that culminated in a faculty position in the Department of Applied Physiology at the University of Miyazaki from 2006. His research interests include generation of novel platforms for delivery of nano-sized biomaterial payloads for regenerative diseases. He is a fellow of Biotechnology Research Society of India, fellow of Royal Biological Society, London. He is an officially recognized Indo-Japan academic spokesperson of the University of Miyazaki and has engaged in outreach programs to strengthen the cohesive relationship between Indian academia and Japan. Over to you, Dr. Madhyastha.
So thank you, Laghu Udyog Bharati Mission, Tech Bharat. And today's topic is very interesting and very innovative also in the terms of the research and collaboration and finally compliances. That is true. Out of 3, mine is very much interested in the research collaboration with the bi-nation, tri-nation or trans-border countries. Why this is collaboration is most important, that I will tell with Yajurveda, one slang. Dirgha chaturasya kshanaya rajuhu parshvamani niryagaha manicha yat pragat bhute karyotham dumbhayam karoti. It is just nothing but a Pythagoras theorem. A square plus B square is equal to C square. Okay, we accept, we honor that theorem, but I still believe A plus B whole square is equal to A square plus B square plus 2AB. I will explain in a short glimpse. A square means one university in one country joins with another university of another country, develops it to the one university of the third country. Whereas Japan University, for example, my university, joins with any of the Indian university. Together, we put forward a joint huge project that will culminate or nurture into some other small universities or colleges in the nearby vicinity. So that bonus point we will get 2AB, the 2AB. The ABs are small colleges, maybe small industries in the local vicinities and small educational institutions. So I strongly believe A square plus B square is equal to A plus B whole square. Fine. As Dr. Varshney and Dr. Srini and Dr. Karisiddhappa, Professor Karisiddhappa rightly mentions, there are so many bilateral programs which are currently underway with India. And since I am staying in Japan I have to concentrate. One such project very much last 6 years I have been working on is SSP project, that is called Sakura Science Project. whereas I invited more than 120 young faculties, young students, and undergraduate students to my lab for 2 years, 2 weeks and 3 weeks program to give intense program in high-end instrument working models and small projects. And another one is very much interested with currently running with so many private universities and IITs is a SAP, Semester Abroad project, that students will come to my lab and work for the 6 months. That is one thing. Third one, whereas very collaboration that may be very new to the Indian system, whereas I'm working with one institute in India, it is South India, it is called NITTE University, it is a private university. It is called Students Internship Program in Japanese Company. So that it is a tripartite systems. The flight charge will be given from the university. We will waive bench fees and lab fees. Of course, student has to bear the food expenses. Otherwise, also they have to pay 20, 35,000, 20, 30,000 in the hostel fees in the good universities hostels. That is one thing. Of course, research, there is after this post-COVID, sky is the double limit. Sky is not a limit, sky is the double limit. So many challenges are occurred and still running. So we have to have some impressive models to tackle all the post-pandemic days. That's why India will be a developed country. We will be leaving ing to ed, right? So as our ex-president, Professor Kalam rightly mentioned, India will be a developed country after 2020. To do that exercise, presently our government is doing the correct mechanism that is called NEP 2020. NEP is a startup idea to invite the brain gain in the Indian academic systems. So many good postdoctorals and young faculties are resigned from the countries like America, UK, even from the Japan also. They migrated back to India and started their concept in the new young universities. That is a good welcoming move. And earlier that, it was as Professor Srini and Professor Karisiddhappa rightly mentioned, earlier that 10 crores project, 20 crores project in India is a turn up with good publications, and it is all academic pile-up systems. So how many international publications you achieved, how many patents you applied, and impact factors, citations. Now new concept has started, it is the startups. That is the most important and relevant factors, I think, in the NAAC accreditation systems, that whether you have how many startups in the project. I think that Government of India may consider in future. And of course, we have a lot of collaboration with DST. It is it's good that Professor Vashni is here. And we are also working closely with our embassy, Indian embassy in Tokyo, with the scientific attaché, Professor Usha Dikshit. So we already started some initiation project with the Ministry of Ayush. And of course, DST is also a very old collaboration of the Japan academic systems. I hope in future days, this will be the more competitive and most productive, and will have more and more societal and trans-border, transdisciplinary approaches. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Madhyastha. A lot of ground has been covered already by my fellow panelists, so I don't think I have a lot left to say. I will make 2 or 3 remarks. One about where I am. I am in the UK at a university called Loughborough, and many of you would be aware of the situation with Brexit. And one of the positive consequences for us in India is that the UK cannot survive in a research environment that has become increasingly competitive without engagement with Asia and without engagement with India. So despite all the negatives surrounding Brexit, one small positive, I think, from a research collaboration angle is the number of opportunities for Indian universities and universities in the UK to talk to each other and collaborate in various areas, not necessarily only in engineering, but across a range of areas. The second point that I wanted to make, and this is probably my final point, is about, and this is something that hasn't been touched upon, is about academic leadership. What do leaders, deans, vice chancellors, associate deans, pro vice chancellors, etc., of universities need to do in India environment? And this is a very, very big challenge. And it is a problem that universities all over the world face. How do you balance research and teaching load? And how do you cultivate the right kind of environment so that faculty are able to take up the opportunities for research that will arise in the next few years? I think this will be very, very crucial from my point of view as I see it. How do we cultivate a research culture that makes it exciting and makes it possible for faculty to engage in research collaborations with other parts of the world? Then the final point that I wanted to make is about vision. One of the problems we've already seen with having the same vision for all the universities is what we see in China, where almost every single university is chasing research papers, and that has become the model. Now, as a university, what sorts of universities do we want to be? What is our vision? Do we want to play on an international scale? Do we want to be locally embedded, but also do good practical research that helps the local community? These are very, very tough decisions. And my own experience is that a university will struggle if it tries to do everything, collaborate with lots of universities in the world, also do research papers, also focus on grants, also do patent work. And then there is a real danger of getting stuck somewhere in the middle and not being able to do anything. And academic staff will slowly start drifting. And before they know, they would be closing on retirement, and they would have struggled to balance teaching and research. So the question that I think I will have for my panelists in the session after this is, how do we create the right kind of academic leadership so that universities and academic staff are able to take advantage of the opportunities for collaboration that will no doubt arise given the number of excellent universities that have started in India. And this is a very interesting note on which to say thank you to all my panelists for a very thought-provoking set of comments. And we will now go on to the panel discussion. So let me start by talking about the question of academic leadership. I think all of us talked about the opportunities and how research needs to be organized. What do you feel is the role of academic leadership at the university level, whether it is a private university or not? What role do you feel university leadership needs to take in the next few years to take advantage of the opportunities for research? And I'm happy to open it up to anybody who wants to answer the question or share their thoughts. I think Professor Karisiddappa, do you want to start? Yeah.
Yes, start with. Yeah, nice, Professor, very nice. As you rightly said, I think making that university to go for all directions, it is one thing which has to be very carefully looked into. And as once, our Honorable Prime Minister said, anything we do, it is all data driven now. So therefore, each university should have a data analytics of carefully conducted and also mapping the problems of that local area. Especially in India, we have multi-cultured and pronged problems we have. So what is best to my region? And can leadership, in terms of what you said, can develop a product, one product from one district, let us say, through an university, which will solve the societal problem and which will also improve our IR, GR, IPR quality or whatever it is. So that's how the mapping is very important. But I also do not stop there. Yes, we need to have internationalization. We need to collaborate. So let us collaborate with, of a similar kind of a university. When we mapping and when we try to mentor, I think we need to do very carefully the collaborations. There are excellent universities abroad and working on, let us say, nanotechnology. So we have few universities in Karnataka or India who are also capable of. So we can map them. We can map them instead of going all those things. Of course, we are trying to break the barriers, etc. That's all fine. But looking at the centers, excellences, that is one thing the leadership should look into. And as you said carefully, we need to have short-term goals and long-term goals. The leadership should work towards that. A few things, before NEP, the Visvesvaraya Technology started, from 2018 batch of final year students, I allowed them to have the batch of their own and from different branches of engineering. One from civil, one from computer science, one from electronics, and another from mechanical engineering. And they can do a final year project. The contributions of each will be assessed separately. Whatever civil engineering student would contribute, that will be assessed for his grading and ranking and whatever it is with the different departments and the specialist. So they started working on this collaborative type of research, small final year projects, etc. The another opening thing or important thing WITU has done is we started some small centers of excellence in robotics and smart manufacturing, then one in AI and machine learning, one in digital farming, where instrumentation is done, where IoT in agriculture. It is a very good outreach program university has started. Then we started with geospatial engineering, small projects. We started training them. We also started few skill centers in rural areas, wherein the students, school dropouts, including the graduates and postgraduates in engineering or different undergraduate programs would come and take something on this. And the most passionate thing what we are trying to do is put the use of computing devices in all the fields, especially the use of computers across. They have occupied the kitchen to space. So therefore, we need to encourage this. So that is a kind of open-minded leadership with no rigidity or a lot of flexibility in our document. They have said we need to have a lot of flexibility, and also this credit banking and sometimes in colleges like in affiliating system, without knowing their own capabilities, they would join and they will struggle a lot because of peer pressure or something like that. They come, maybe first generation graduates, etc. But we need to create an opportunity for them. So that's why we are seriously thinking to have a major degree and a minor degree, and at least 2 domain degrees wherein they have passion in them and learn in them. So that is the kind of a very vibrant leadership which thinks beyond the university statutes and regulations, etc. We need to have.
Thank you, Dr. Karisidappa.
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Harshni has a point to make.
Thank you. From government perspective, when we are talking, we are looking at science. And when I say science, it includes engineering, medicine, all those branches which are working to provide solutions. So we are saying science with a human face, that is the motto. And what we are looking for is if science could provide solutions at an affordable price to our society. And these solutions need not to be applicable widely. Widely, when I say, it may not be applicable nationally or globally, but even if it addresses the issue of a reason, it makes their life much more easier. So what is happening that we have somebody, some people, some students, some faculty who have some ideas, and how passionate he or she is with that idea sometimes probably suffers because of support by the mentor, by the institutions, and the dream or the passion the fellow has somehow dies down. So we need to develop a culture where we could allow people to express freely, and of course, if required, debate, if required, consultations, mentorship on that idea. Now, if I see growth of most of our successful organizations, be it ISRO, be it Atomic Energy, they were dreams or passion of one individual, be it space, be it Atomic Energy. So, and what they did was, they did not keep the idea to themselves. They created a second drug, a third drug, a fourth drug. Most of our organizations suffer because we don't have second line of leadership. Of course, what happens if there is a position of director, many people will compete from within the organization. And when they compete, obviously, only one fellow would be selected. And the remaining fellow, instead of accepting it gladly that, okay, this fellow has been selected to lead the organization, they will start with internal frictions. Okay. And they would always like to prove one over the another. And that is where the deterioration starts. Now, if we arrest this deterioration at that moment, that organization will survive. But otherwise, there is a very likelihood that we would suffer from that point. As far as government is concerned, we are concerned with 2 or 3 major issues. One is gender equality. Unfortunately, we have so many IITs, not a single director. We have so many NITs, only one lady director. And we have so many medical institutions now. AIIMS is also a number of places, no lady director. We are not saying that we should facilitate them or we should reserve them, but we should allow them to grow. And there are some challenges. For example, family-related issues by which women take a back seat at some time in their career. But there is a need that we should come over those hurdles and allow them to go a mile ahead. Second thing, what I'm saying, I would like to mention is about a program which we have launched very recently in the last couple of years. Many of us are employed in an organization where we have got research questions, but do not have infrastructure to pursue that research question. So DST has started a program which allows teachers working in colleges or schools to pursue their research dreams. Now, that is how we feel that once they come up with a possible persuasion of their ideas, they feel more contented, more satisfied, and further increase their zeal to work for the organization they are working. And we need to constantly monitor that when we are talking about leadership, it has 2 or 3 things. One, the fellow should have appreciation for all academic ventures being taken by himself or by his colleagues in the institutions. He should know how those initiatives could be nurtured and what are the possible competitions from the neighborhood. And these neighborhood competition, I always feel are healthy, because then you have something to prove that, okay, if I have to give some solution to the society, if my institution provides it, society recognizes. A small appreciation goes a long way and helps in building up the leadership. So that is how I see it. And thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Varshini. Any of my panelists want to answer the question, or I can move on? Yeah, Doctor.
I would like to look at your question. I mean, very beautiful points. Both Professor Karisidappa and S.K. Varshini had beautiful views or approachable views on the leadership. We are talking about academic leadership. Huh? Ravi, this is what you said. How to build this academic leadership so that the young students who go on to become leaders, let's say academic leaders or industrial leaders, and this is what we are looking at. To me, I have very simple and somewhat very ground to earth, down to earth approach. Very simple, straightforward way of looking at it. That's because I work in a research institute called CNRS, where unfortunately or fortunately, we do not have to teach. So if I mean, 100% or 200%, whatever you say, is completely devoted to science. But I see young students coming in front of me. I mean, because the masters and PhD students are there, and therefore they give me energy to, to be young with them and to work with them, and that's a fantastic atmosphere. But now, coming back to your question once again, academic leadership in a university atmosphere is different, because mine is a total 100% research. I teach a little bit through the students, but what about those universities? For example, Professor Karisidappa's university, where the teachers are having heavy burden of teaching and correcting and examination and evaluation. And I feel really my sympathy to all these teachers. Plus, we are expecting them to do research. Isn't it difficult? I mean, I know that most beautiful, best university in the world, they are doing that. But how are they doing that? It's because they are allowed to buy, if I may say, some time for research. If you have motivation for research, then you would be able to apply for grants. If you have grants, then those teachers or professors or assistant professor, associate, whatever level, they should be allowed a certain time so that they can do research. I mean, if you are putting their time so much that they have to teach so much, their 100% time is taken, they are human beings, right? How do we cope up? I mean, therefore, in a simple, very simple minded, because I have this luxury of doing research all the time. I think of my fellow teachers and associate professors who are having a teaching assignment, allow them some time. That's number one. Time is not enough. Tell me, please, this is not an offense to anybody, how many universities in India have the right infrastructure? You mentioned it, Sanjeev, you mentioned it. How many have the right infrastructure? Even they are brilliant, they want to do research, but they can they really do research? Talk of Chikmagalur, talk of Shivamogga, talk of Gulbarga. I'm talking about Karnataka towns, okay? Or you can talk of Raebareli, or you can think of Ghaziabad or any. How many universities? They have to go to the nearest best institute, or either TST, CSIR, DBT institute to do some research. But it's not that simple. So helping the universities with more and more infrastructure, giving them time. So I was thinking of identify the passionate people who are really interested. Don't force it. You cannot get best research by forcing, you have to publish a paper, you have to do this. No, it won't happen. Either you're passionate or you are not. If you are passionate, you have to identify. That is the leadership. Identify people who really, if they are not passionate, how can they infuse the passion among the students? The students see the teachers, they look upon, and then if they see that the teachers are passionate, then they will be. And how do they do it? Give them time, give them infrastructure, and then the other questions, equally important, which Varshini did mention, we attach a lot of importance, because even by mistake, we don't try to say always he. We try to include the gender equality. This is not just on paper. We have to, because women, we know how difficult it is in, by various, I don't want to go into the reasons. I have already conducted, thanks to CEFIPRA, thanks to DST, we have conducted Women in Science seminars and symposia. It is important to help them. It is important to make them understand their role, and they have very important role. That plus two other points, and I'll stop. Ethics, it's equally important. Just by forcing, you just say, okay, you have to do research. When you push them, then they bend the rules. No, ethics are most important in science. If you cannot trust their work, you cannot trust their, moral values or ethical values, then it's no. It's equally important to push the ideas of ethics, good ethics in science. Last, I'm quite keen on this open science, because many of the universities, if they have no access to science material, science literature, scientific data, then France, we are doing quite well in terms of promoting open science. This is probably a discussion for another symposium or another debate. Open science, open access to every scientist who is interested. There should not be any barrier. The university cannot afford to buy certain journals or cannot afford to have some subscription for these journals. No, that barrier should go. Everyone should be. Like what COVID pandemic situation made it. You must be aware of that. Most papers are available, or practically every paper that is published is available free access. And that's a great move. That should be there for everything. So I stop by saying, identify the passionate people, both in science, both in students and the staff, and then provide them the time, provide them the infrastructure, not forgetting the gender equality, the ethics, and open access. Voila.
Dr. Varshni, did you have something to say, or was that an old hand that has gone up?
Just a quick pointer. What Srini raised, I think all of you may be aware that India introduced its national education policy in 2020, and now in 2021, we are talking about a new science, technology, and innovation policy of India. And this is already in advanced stage. And one of the points which we have mentioned is about open science. And what we are talking is, we should think in terms of national subscription of various scientific journals rather than individual or institutional subscription. So we would like to provide access of published information to our scientific community across the country. And this is one of the resolutions we have taken in the new Science, Technology, Innovation Policy. We are calling it a STIP, like NEP for National Education Policy. So new STIP has that provision, and we are now in advanced stage of consultation, and most likely in the first half of 2021, it would be adopted by the country. That's a hope we are working on. And of course, ethics, I'm sorry I didn't touch it, but ethics is very important. And in fact, the most vital of it. So thank you very much.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Varshni.
Dr. Harish and then Dr. Karisiddappa.
Yeah, in the terms of the academic leadership, in my case, in my example, if you take that one, I invited young faculties from the various institutes, centers, universities from India as a faculties. They came here and worked for a short while, and as an extracurricular activity, they have gone to a place called a smart waste segregation system in my city. It is called Miyazaki Smart Waste Segregation System. It is really a state-of-the-art facility. The one fellow, he visited that one and introduced that concept to his university, and miniature model was created in the university back at India. And that miniature model was taken up by the local MLA and MPs and started with the Jilla Panchayat area. That is how the concept of the one university or one nation will be developed into the one areas of the India. That is one thing. Second one is, I always say that the NITE model of industrial internship. I glanced it before very briefly. this is something like that student, university, and a foreign lab. In that case, the NITES students, engineering students, and biomedical students, they came to my lab and worked here for 6 months and published very good papers in the Royal Society and American Society of Chemistry and other good publishing people, publishing group. And she is absorbed back at Indian University to do research with the university fellowship, and with a guarantee that she will be given higher end program or higher end research in the universities back at Japan, or Japan professor recommended labs at UK or US or European countries. It may be a small, maybe 1 or 2% success, but this 1 or 2% success in 2021 will be developed into 20% in 2025. That way, I think everybody, all universities should think in that angle to propagate this kind of industrial or a SAP project systems back at Japan or any other universities. By this one, by doing this, we will get एक ही बाड़ा में 2 सवारी हो सकता है, क्योंकि that fellow will get a national, international exposure. One, the student will get international exposure. And moreover, that university will also get accreditations, some points in accreditations by good publications. That is a way, it is a good way. Another point, a small point, is BIT, Birla Institute of Technology in Ranchi, in Mesra, where I was a visiting scientist in that school, engineering college. There they have beautiful student exchange program with the foreign universities, including my universities. IIT ex-professor, IIT's ex-international director, Professor Manshi, is the vice chancellor of that university now. We are working very closely with Japan, our university, and Japan, some other Japan standard universities, to invite those young people to come to our Japan and work here. See, Indian engineers can open up Honda bike or Toyota car. That is not, there is no harm with anything. But Indian doctors cannot open or touch foreign people. So that engineering students can come over here, Japan, and work over and get internship programs at the industrial internship program, for example, in Toyota R&D Center in Nagoya, and Toshiba Center in my own city, Miyazaki. And of course, Toyota is there in India, Toshiba is there in India. They can go back and start this activity back at India and give the training to the low level or small IIT peoples and other things. In that way, a small ignition to 1% may propagate into the mega boost in the industry and academic systems. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Professor Karisiddappa.
Thank you, Professor Ravi. After hearing to my elite colleagues, I am tempted to share 4 points, 4 best practices which you is doing and we have. The one is we have e-consortium through which we provide e-journals, e-books, and all other literature available on our platform, and it can be accessed by student, faculty from anywhere, including we have a mobile app. That's one thing. And all the colleges would get these similar or identical e-resources and on the sharing basis. The second one is about Professor Srini was talking about. After in the direction from AICTE, VTU has started universal human value cell in all the colleges. We have at least 2 to 3 teachers have been mentored through AICTE FDP program. And also AICTE has designed a 2-credit course, which will be mandatory from next academic year for all the students of VTU. The third one is we have, established a center of excellence where we have pulled all the packages like, finite element packages or SAP packages or the this statistical and everything. And it is made available to all the faculty and students 24/7. They can access from anywhere and use it. And that all helped us during this pandemic. And also virtual laboratory facilities along with, National Education Mission and Surathkal, we have provided them. The other very important breaking, curriculum changes we are making is, as Professor Harish was mentioning about, from the next revision, we are making 6 months internship. They can do it from any country or any industry in India or anywhere. It is going to be. Again, it could be of multidisciplinary. The internship choice we'll give to them. So as we want to encourage their passion, and they are mature students, maybe they have initially while entering into engineering, they would not have thought about it, but over 6 semester and after 7 semester, definitely they will have some passion in them, and we want to inculcate and encourage those kind of things. These are the best practices my university has. Thank you.
Thank you. I had one final thought, and it's a question around technology. In the last 12 months, I think the world has changed for all of us, and academics have talked to each other on technology platforms a lot more than they ever did in their life. But it has also shown a lot of painful things around the world in terms of accessibility. A lot of the students struggle to access high quality education. And do you feel that in the future, we will have virtual private universities delivering courses entirely online? Or do you think what this pandemic has showed us is we can use a blend approach? For some of the courses, we may offer education online, and for some others, we may really need students to be there for highly intensive lab-based courses. And of course, this will have implications for how research is organized and conducted. So I would want my panelists to comment on the idea of virtual private universities and what we have seen in the last 12 months, completely unexpected, but how should universities respond?
Yeah, very nice, Professor. This has been a question asked in many, webinars and etc. And personally, I've been also talking about this. And as you rightly said, digital education, suddenly it was a substitute during the crisis. We had no other way. Otherwise, our, crores of students would have lost their one academic year, very important time in their life. It was a substitute, and it was, okay, we have used various platforms, etc. Then if you look at the facilities, what you have, definitely, especially in India, we have definitely truly digital divide. All are not accessible to, even a smartphone is very, very difficult. In my own university, we survived. More than 30% of students could not have that kind of an facility. So we had to use alternative mode of sending them through, mail or through post, etc. The lessons and the prepared notes, etc. It was a very, very tough time. It is a very tough time. Now, as a teacher, I would say we may have to go for blended mode. One thing is, again, the present generation, they are passionate about using electronic gadgets and sit in front of computers and laptops, etc. And definitely in professional or in most, in education system, all the courses cannot be taught through digital mode. We need to go for in various platforms you have thought about in Karnataka State Higher Education Council also, we had a meeting. Maybe we can go for blended mode, 20% of the content through online and calling them for classroom interventions, etc. and 80%. In some of the design courses, maybe 100%, something like that. And some of the topics, as you rightly pointed, some courses can be taught online. Some of the topics in a course can be taught online. And we can have interventions, classroom interventions, etc. And otherwise, the student miss the nature, friends, coffee in the college canteen, which is remembered forever. We all remember our college days, having a half cup of tea with friends and those kind of things. And definitely, in terms of health, mental health, I think the 100% online teaching is not advisable. And also to my young teachers and friends, the teaching online requires a new set of pedagogies, more than one pedagogy. And we need to learn the science of online teaching. Unless you know the science of online teaching, we all miserably fail. These are my views. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Varshney.
I recall a chapter in the book of my son, who was that time studying class 6 or 7. It is about quite a few years ago. And they discussed physical books versus e-books and the convenience of physical books and the way you can mark your notes or you can underline text. And then until the COVID came, we used to have in schools 1 or 2 class as smart class. Rest of the class were in the traditional, rest of the schools were in the traditional ways. And same was good for our colleges and university. We have come from Gurukul system. Now, of course, over the period, we have adopted the current system. And when COVID came, it just proved the old saying that necessity is mother of invention. And we spent a lot of time in settling in what could be the right platform. Somebody tried Zoom, somebody tried WebEx, somebody tried Microsoft Teams. Everybody has a problem of adaptation. And those challenges, of course, what Professor Karisiddhappa also mentioned, that faculty was worried about the valuable 1-year period or the academic year for the students. You see, for you and me, it doesn't matter, because if we see our history of 30 years career, 1 year, if we have not contributed much, but in our student days, that 1 year is very critical. And I personally feel that there is no substitute to the classroom, because there you are meeting not only your friends, but if I could say your competitor, your rivals, your peers, and you are competing with them, and you are throwing idea one over the another, and there is a live debate. Now, when you do it on the virtual system, you are texting. So the emotion goes off. The passion goes off. You just simply pass your ideas and hope somebody will read it. I'm sure faculty takes care of all your suggestions, all your questions, try to answer it, but you miss the fun of doing it yourself. And you see, most of the laboratories, be it IIT, be it colleges, be it schools, now we are facing a very, very unprecedented challenge this year when our young population of class 10 and class 12 is ready to take board examination, and they have not gone to school for the full year. They have not done any experiment in the laboratory. Should they be graduated? Or should we ask them to wait for the better time when a school could take full attendance and go for laboratory-based courses? These are quite vulnerable questions, because at one time we value time of the student, and on the other hand, we would like to see that at least when we say that you are 12th pass, you are graduate, or you are postgraduate, you should have achieved those standards. Unfortunately, in our country, I think Professor Karisiddhappa will agree, degree doesn't mean a lot until it is suffixed from where you have done it. You could have done BTech from IIT, has a different value. BTech from NIT has a different value. BTech from university have a different value. And BTech from unknown colleges have a different value. So whatever be your performance, but you are known by the institute from where you have graduated. In fact, this is where we need to correct ourselves. We should know a BTech, be it from anywhere, has basic knowledge, basic experience of something what any graduate in that discipline would have had. So I would like to go for the hybrid approach in case full year in-person classes are not possible. There is no substitute that laboratory experiments are to be conducted in the labs. You can't do it virtually or you can't do it at home. You need to take so many other precautions for that. So labs are the best environment. Of course, we need to do it differently now. We need to divide class in 2 or 3 parts and with due social precautions of distancing, of not mixing very much. One more thing I would like to say that these days in COVID, we have got a lot of webinars. Webinars are not workshop or symposium because most of the vital discussions in workshop, etc., does not take place on the podium or on the dais. It takes place over lunches and dinner where people are informal. And they freely discuss their idea. We are missing that fun. We are missing that passion. We are missing that drive. Now, that cannot be replaced by people sitting in different part of the world and connected through a virtual platform. Thank you.
Okay, so I fully agree with the first two comments from Professor Karisiddhappa and S.K. Vasudev. Absolutely, fully agreed. To me, nothing can substitute the real human interaction among the students and teacher-student interaction. Nothing can substitute. You can create a probably 3D kinds of, most sophisticated way of digital teaching. I'm sure we will do it, but that can never substitute. Because right now, this is a very serious debate in France, how much damage it must have done, unprecedented damage on their, the mental setup of not being in touch. You cannot sit in your hostel room or in your home, in your room and learn everything. The way you interact, the way you, as you said, S.K. Vasudev did put it very beautifully. The interaction, the exchanges, the thoughts, etc., most important. One quick example and I'll leave you. Back about 15 years ago, I was with my colleagues. We were having a coffee in the, between the experiments. We are full-blooded experiments going on, but there are some incubation times and all that. So we go to the coffee, and then I'm exchanging that. Alexandre comes in. Alexandre, a young student who is just going to join PhD in my group. He comes in and asks me, "Oh, Srini, do you know what is an abzyme?" He asked me a question because the boy had just attended a classroom and he had learned something about abzyme. He wanted to know whether I have heard about it. Simple, innocent, very nice question. But I got a little offended. What do you mean? You, a little young student, you're asking me whether I know this? A small pride was a little hurt, but very, very small level. Then I don't answer him. You know what I do? I rush about 20 to 30 meters maximum, 20 meters to my office. And then I pick up the paper where I have published on abzymes. The boy did not know. So my pride was hurt a little bit. How is it that the boy is doing research in my lab and he doesn't even know all the papers that I have published? I have published on abzymes. That's not the issue. The point is, between the time I went to pick up the paper from my cupboard and walked up to the coffee room, I had this idea where he should be doing a particular project. Believe me, no exaggeration. We published a Nature Medicine paper to a New England Journal of Medicine, big grants of more than close to 1 million, thanks to that little gap of 30 seconds of, probably 1 minute of walk between his question, a physical question that I go and come back, human interaction. That, forget it. You will never get on digital basis. You see the importance of that. As an example, there are hundreds of thousands of examples where the body language, the way you talk, the way you interact, and all this matters. Nothing can ever substitute 100% the real human interaction. It's very precious. Machines cannot be humans. maybe one day. But we need a hybrid. I agree with both the speakers.
Thank you. And we'll give the last word to Dr. Harish.
Yeah, I completely agree with all three eminent persons. Human to human interaction is must in education. Otherwise, it is impossible to learn or to teach. Because Indian education system is theory-based system, whereas Japan is practical systems. Practical is, we have experiment is more. 80% of curriculum is experiment. 20% is theory. I think in France also same, in UK also same, in America, of course, it is done. True. But teaching the theory can be done by online mode. Of course, there are some pitfalls that can be shot out with the government policies. That is not a big issue. Low internet connectivity, slow this, that, and all. But practicals, of course, should be done with offline mode only. Otherwise, it is impossible. It's a drastic, catastrophic event, I should say. Because now people say, if a student will know, sodium hydroxide, yes, pH is this. When he come to the lab, he will really know whether it is sodium hydroxide is the liquid or a solid. That is most interesting factor in the education. Otherwise, it is very difficult. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone. This was the second pre-event, and this session was around research, collaboration, and compliance. And I thank all my co-panelists for their very valuable inputs. I think we had a great discussion, and the ideas that we talked about are relevant not only for academics, but also for senior leadership in universities and for students. I think this has been a very engaging conversation. So all that is left for me to say is thank you very much. And it was very nice to see all of you. And I'm sure we will be in touch, and I'm sure the event will be very successful. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you very much. Looking forward.